If you're black, I don't have to tell you, or at least I shouldn't have to tell you, about the unequal prosecution and sentencing of our people when it comes to committing a crime. And the New York Times recently did a study on just how unequal sentencing is if you're black and commit the same crime as a white person. There's a lot of research that's out there, decades of research, and it clearly shows that criminal courts sentence black defendants more harshly than whites. But they finally did a blow-by-blow investigation of sentencing disparities in Florida. And the study was done by the Sarasota Herald Tribune, which by no stretch of the imagination is a black-owned newspaper. The study that they did exposed the fact that African-American defendants get more time behind bars, sometimes twice the prison terms of white people with identical criminal histories when they commit the same crime under identical circumstances. It also shows how bias plays a major part with individual judges and prosecutors, and they are the ones that drive the sentencing inequity. The Florida legislature, quote unquote, has supposedly been wrestling with this issue for decades, and I don't believe that, period, even though that's what was written in the original article. They have, however, tried to change sentencing policies that varied widely from place to place by creating sentencing guidelines. Today in Florida, prosecutors assign defendants points based on the seriousness of their crime, the circumstances of their arrest, and whether or not they have prior convictions to determine the minimum sentence required by law. Now, if you live in Flagler County, I'm going to show you a chart of the various sentencing disparity. Give me 1 second. Okay, you see this chart here? This is the stats for the county, Flagler County in Florida. And as you can see there, the average prison sentences in years for a black person is just south of 7 years, whereas for a white person convicted, oh, and by the way, the crime was robbery, okay? And the people that were convicted had approximately the same history. So again, a black person convicted of robbery in Flagler County, Florida, gets nearly triple the amount of time that a white person would obtain. The black person gets just south of 7 years, whereas a white person gets about 2.5 years for the same exact crime and for having the same history. Now, Flagler, you don't want to go be black and get caught in Flagler County. The statewide average for Florida was that blacks got 178 days on average more imprisonment than white people regarding their overall crime statistics. So basically, in the state of Florida, a black person for a crime on average got about 4.5 years, and a white person got approximately a little north of 4 years. And all of those stats come from the Florida Department of Corrections. If the system were fair, black and white defendants who got the same score, which translated into the same number of points in using the formula that they use, would spend about the same amount of time behind bars. But the judges were disregarding the guidelines and sentencing black defendants to longer prison terms in 60% of felony cases, 68% of serious first-degree crimes, and 45% of burglaries. In third-degree felony cases, the least serious and broadest class of felonies, white Florida judges sentenced black defendants to 20% more prison time than their white counterparts. The war on drugs is particularly damaging to the black community. Police target black neighborhoods, herding people into a court system where judges are demonstrably harder on black offenders. The report that was done found that judges were sentencing black defendants to at least twice the amount of time that they were sentencing their white counterparts to. Prosecutors and defense lawyers have come to accept the racist system as a fact of life. The Herald Tribune cited 2 teenagers who were charged with armed robbery in the same county. Prosecutors and the defense lawyer, with the approval of one judge, ignored the sentencing guidelines for the white teenager and struck a plea agreement for probation with no jail time. The black teenager, however, was sentenced to 4 years as recommended under the guidelines and was told by his lawyer that that was the best deal that he could get for him. Now, I had told you about Flagler County. You don't really want to do a crime in Florida if you're black. You shouldn't want to do a crime anyway, but if you happen to do a crime in Florida and you're black, you're in trouble. I'm going to show you another chart of the difference in the amount of jail time in the various counties in Florida. Hold on one second. Okay, the chart you see in front of you is a chart by county of black people versus white people doing the same crime, and the crime is felony drug possession. Okay? I'm going to have a problem pronouncing this. Okeechobee County, black people average getting 700 days in jail for felony drug possession, while white people average getting about 250, which is 179% less. So translation, black people got 179% more time in Okeechobee, if I'm butchering the name, but I believe it's Okeechobee County, Florida. In Indian River County, Florida, blacks got 162% more time than their white counterpart. In Gulf County, Florida, black people got 170% more time. In Nassau County, they got 127% more time. In Marion County, they got 114% more time. In Duval County, that's where Trump's Mar-a-Lago hotel is, they got 70% more time. In Collier County, they got 81% more time. In Broward County, they got 65% more time. In Manatee, they got 153% more time. The statewide average for black people doing the same crime, which is felony drug possession, black people get 107% more time than their white counterparts. Now, Sarasota County bucks the trend. Black people only get 67% more time, and the rates for felony drug possession are less than the statewide average. So, as you can see, the Florida system is inflicting a form of racial persecution that is reminiscent of the Jim Crow era. The state's sentencing structure is obviously in need of reform, And part of the solution may be for the courts to issue regular public reports detailing the sentencing decisions of individual judges and showing how they relate to guidelines. That would at least throw a spotlight on what is clearly a festering injustice, which is being performed by both the judges and the prosecutors in the state of Florida.